Hey guys, Justin here with AmericanTrucks.com, and today we're talking about the Retrax 9 retractable bed cover fitting your 2019 and newer Silverado and Sierra 1500 with the standard or short bed. Now this is going to be a great option for Sierra owners looking to go with a very high quality retractable cover as opposed to maybe going with a folding, rolling, or other style cover that you might encounter here on the site. Now the USA made Retrax will offer a very tough aluminum construction, a one-handed easy operation along with a scratch resistant matte black powder coat, all for right around that $1,200 to $1,300 price point. All right guys, so for those who don't know, retractable covers is really all Retrax does, hence the name of course, and they do offer a few different options here on the site, including covers that will feature different materials, in addition to powered and manual options. Now those powered covers certainly very baller, but as you might imagine, they are gonna be top dollar. Now the Retrax 9, on the other hand, that we have here today is the company's most budget-friendly option in their lineup, but will still boast solid materials along with the easy-to-use retractable operation. Simply by yanking the cable, it will allow the cover to release and basically slide freely on the included rails. Now the cover is lockable in regards to not being able to be opened as long as your tailgate is locked, of course, so that along with that really burly aluminum material is certainly going to up the security for your cargo, along with adding protection, of course, from the elements. Finally, a lot of our customers really do enjoy that nice flush appearance with the bed rails once installed. And if you don't believe me, well, I highly encourage you to read up on some of those reviews if you haven't done so already. Always a great way to get some feedback from fellow owners. Now moving into construction, and let's talk materials here, guys. Again, we are looking at a durable aluminum build throughout, starting with the cover itself. And one thing you will notice here with the cover, there's no real soft spots or joints or hinges or basically anything that can eventually wear out and fail on you or be an easy target for thieves. And I really dig that particular design. Now that aluminum material has also been given a very lightly textured powder coat matte black finish. I like that as well. It's got a UV coating baked in as well, so it's gonna provide durability, of course, but it's also gonna maintain a nice consistent look over the years. Now the actual canister in which that cover rides on or rides in is also made from strong aluminum, and that is gonna sit flush against the bulkhead in your truck, right up next to the cab there, and it is going to sit very flush with the bed rails and make for that clean look once installed, as we pointed out earlier. Now Retrax does include some drains to keep water out of the bed, of course, once everything's been installed properly, and you should know that this is a no drill install, so it's going to make for a very easy day in the garage, as we'll show you later in the video. Now before we completely get out of construction, I do want to point out the fact that the Retrax 9 rather, does feature sealed ball bearings in the rail system. That's another highlight here for me because that's going to allow this thing to not only slide easily and be operated with one hand, but those sealed ball bearings will keep dirt and grime out over the years and keep this thing working basically like new for many years to come. Now you are getting a single locking or latch mechanism. Again, that is very easy to operate with one hand. And on the topic of that locking mechanism here, guys, this thing can be secured in 3 preset locking positions along those rails. So again, maybe you do a lot of third wheel towing, hauling random size cargo, whatever the case, this is a nice feature because again, it allows you to close the cover in certain locations along those rails. Last but not least here, guys, I should point out the cover itself is made in the USA. Always like pointing that out, and is backed by a limited 2-year warranty, just in case you run into any issues. All right, talking price point here quickly, guys, and the Retrax 9 is gonna live right around that $1,200 to $1,300 ballpark, which does put this, I would say, right in line with other mid-level retractable covers here on the site, along with other just popular options from companies like Back Industries with their trifold stuff, Undercover Flex, and so forth. Now, that being said, the Retrax 9 here is gonna be one of your more affordable retractable options on the site for your Sierra, and only a handful of options coming in just a hair less. So again, really solid build here for not a ton of dough at the end of the day. And if you have your heart set on a retractable option, I would say this is gonna be one of the best values on the site when still keeping that price point low, but still going with a tried and true name. All right, let's finish things off here with our installation, of course. And because this is a simple bolt-on job, the site's gonna stick with a very soft 2 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter, taking you about an hour or so to complete from start to finish. I would say the most difficult part of this job is gonna be simply just lifting the canister in place. So if you have a buddy, wife, husband, whatever around to help you out lifting this, certainly gonna make the job that much easier at the end of the day. But regardless, to give you a better idea of just how exactly this one will go down at home, let's throw it out to the shop for our detailed walkthrough and tool breakdown.
Tools required for this install include a ratchet, the included Allen wrench, a T25 Torx socket, and a 6mm Allen socket. What's up guys? Today we're installing a tonneau cover on our Sierra, so let's get started. So now the first thing we want to do is lift our canister up into the bed. This is going to go all the way towards the front of the bed, so we'll slide it back. And then once we have it in place, we're going to remove this plastic film that's covering the front, bottom, and a little bit of the rear of the bottom of our canister. So I'm going to slide this back into place. So now with our canister in place, we're just gonna work our way across, pulling up this protective film. So now with our canister in the bed, we can install our side rail. Now we have this little slot on the bottom here that we're gonna be sliding over this notch on our canister, and then we're gonna throw a bolt through that. So you can go ahead and just line it up and push it on. So now we can come to our bolt hole right at the front of the canister here. We're gonna take our Torx bolt with a T25 Torx socket and get those threads started. And then we can throw that onto a ratchet and tighten that down. And then repeat that process on the other side. So now we can slide everything that we need into our side rails. We're gonna start with our latch. Now we have an Allen bolt going through the bottom and then a nut on the other side. We're gonna be sliding that nut into this channel here. And then you can throw that all the way down towards the front. And then you're gonna take a nut. Now there's a nylon side that's gonna be going up. We'll slide that into our rail. Slide that down. And then we'll get another latch. Another nut. And then another latch. And now once you have all of that slid in, you can grab your end cap. It's gonna be the same exact thing with the Allen bolt going through the bottom into a nut. We're gonna slide the nut into that channel, and then we have a hole for a very small Allen head screw that's gonna thread into the top of our side rail. Now with our end cap on, we're gonna take that very small Allen screw and the included Allen wrench. Thread that in, tighten it down. And then we'll grab a 6mm Allen socket to tighten down the bolt on our end cap. And then we can take our first latch and slide that all the way up against the end cap and take the same 6mm Allen socket to tighten that down. So now we're gonna start at the front of our rail and work our way back. We're gonna take the very first latch that we slid into our rail. We're gonna push that all the way forward until it hits that bolt that's attaching our side rail to the canister. And then we're gonna grab a 6mm Allen socket and tighten it down. And then once we have that in place, we can install our clamp. We're gonna have a bolt going through the bottom of the clamp up into the rail and it's gonna thread into the first nut that we installed. And then we're gonna get the back half of this clamp against the back of the bed rail here. But before we do that, we're gonna take this foam spacer and we're gonna lift up on our side rail on the bed, the plastic cover, and slide that in between the metal and the plastic. And then we have a notch on our clamp that's gonna slide into that channel. So I'm gonna get the bolt in first. I'm gonna use my Allen socket to thread it into the nut. And then we're just gonna line that up with our pad there and take the 6mm Allen socket to tighten the clamp down to our side rail. And then we're gonna tighten down this plastic screw. This is gonna push against the side of the bed here, and this is gonna make sure that our side rail is straight. So we're gonna tighten this down first before we get our clamp in place, because if we get our clamp in place first, you're just gonna strip out this plastic screw when you go to tighten that down. And then once you're nice and straightened out, you can go ahead and rotate up the clamp. And then take your 6mm Allen socket to tighten that down. And then you're going to do that same thing for the clamp right by the last latch on our side rail.
Now next we can install our drain tubes at the bottom of the canister here. Now usually you're going to want to run this towards a grommet in the bed to put it outside the bed. In this scenario we don't have any grommets back here around the canister. We just have some holes drilled in the bottom of our bed at the front. So what I'm going to do is just run the tube towards those, and then this is just going to press into the bottom of the canister. We'll get that to come out right by this larger drain hole here, and you can do the same thing on the other side.
So now we're going to come back to our middle latch here. We still have some movement in this, so we just need to get our cover clipped into our middle latch on both sides, and then you can just slide the cover back and forth, figure out where you want your middle latching position to be, and then we'll take that 6mm Allen socket and tighten them down on both sides. So you're just going to pull that rope on the tonneau cover, slide that into place to get it latched. Do the same thing on the other side. And then you slide your cover out. I have it right about centered up with our rail here now. So I'm just gonna take that Allen socket and tighten that down, and then tighten the other side down as well. So that'll wrap up this review and install of the Retrax iX flush mount retractable tonneau cover
for your 2019 and newer Silverado and Sierra 1500
with 5.8 foot short and 6.5 foot standard box. Thank you for watching, and for all things Sierra, keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.